Welcome everybody to In Before the Lock, where we talk about all things pinball and pinball mods. We've got episode 16 up, and Davey, we're going to dive right in. How you doing, man?
Hey, man, I'm doing really well. I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Good. So you ready to talk about some Godzilla Black and White today?
Oh, as best as we can, mate. Yeah, as best as we can. It's an interesting topic, isn't it? There's lots to get through.
Yeah, there's a lot. You know, we've been kind of putting some vibes out on the airwaves. I know there's a lot of opinions around this one. So we're going to get into it. We're also going to be talking about Insider Connected. You know, we've probably got some new code coming from Godzilla, and curious to know, you know, what that's going to look like for all owners. There's been a bunch of new stuff with Insider Connected in terms of these contracts for John Wick, which are pretty cool. So good to see Stern finally making some headway. And of course, that creates the topic of, are we ever going to have to pay for this stuff? So we're going to talk about that today. We've also got some people coming on with us. We've got Erika from Erika's Pinball Journey with us. She's got an awesome Instagram account. We're going to hear a little bit about that and hear about what she's been up to. We also have Todd Russell from PlayGamesMore.com. I learned about Todd recently. He's got a ton of content on Insider Connected, over 25 articles in the last year just about Insider Connected alone. So really going to be cool to talk with them, and they're going to join us for the majority of the show. So we're going to talk about all things Black and White, Insider Connected, and then we're going to talk a little bit about our mods as well when we get into that. So before we dive in, Davey, I want to hit you for this or that, man. Pick one of these two topics. I'm curious what you think. What do you think? Pick a left or a right.
El John C. and Evran, will they all sell? Did they all sell? Mate, let's do the Pin Stadium versus Pin Lights thing. This has been quite topical of late. I know that Carrie Hardy just recently did a full sort of rundown of Pin Lights, and I didn't actually catch the show. Did you catch the show? I know a lot of people in the UK have been talking about it.
A little bit. You are you feeling them?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Like, you know, I am a Compy boy from way back. I'm a massive fanboy of Compy. I think he does fantastic work. I've always been so impressed with everything he's done from the Twilight Zone screens that he was putting on the backboard of Twilight Zone. I think they did it for Tron as well. Just a very technical dude who's, you know, always at the forefront of pinball modding. But, you know, alongside that, he's just very approachable and supportive guy. So when he sort of came out with this product, I was, you know, very excited for him. And, you know, I think the reception to them has been fantastic so far. And, you know, a lot of people are talking about them. I know there's a group buy happening in the UK at the moment for people who are trying to bring them over. I think they're really competitively priced. I think technically, you know, he's got great app support for them, great configuration capabilities for them, great support across a large number of historical architectures, you know, everything from old Bally Williams games all the way up through Sam and the latest Spikes. So yeah, man, I mean, it's a pretty tasty time if you're in the Pin Stadium / Pin Lights, you know, market. You know, there's a lot of options. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I want to get my hands on them. So let's you or I get our hands on a set, and we'll cover it all on the show. But definitely excited, and there's definitely some things about them that look great. So so we've got Todd and Erika in the green room, so to speak. It looks like Erika may be having some video issues, but Todd, how you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me, guys. I'm doing great.
Hey, Todd. Great.
Todd, so yeah, like I said, you know, I came across some content recently. I was doing some research on Insider Connected, and I came across your site, which looks like it's about a lot more than pinball, but I was just like blown away by like how much you've been covering Insider Connected and all over the last year. Can you tell us a little bit about your site and kind of what we might find there as far as IC goes?
Well, PlayGamesMore.com, it is completely ad-free, first of all. It's how many gaming sites do you see? There's no affiliate links. There's no sponsorship. There's no referring URLs. It's a completely clean gaming website, which are very rare out there. And I think there's 400 and some articles on there now, and we're coming up on our 1-year birthday here, July 15th. I'm the editor and the principal writer of the site. We do have other writers for the site. We just recently added by request. We didn't even launch with the email. You know, everybody wants to get your email on every site. We didn't even start with that. It took 10 months before we even gave any sort of email notification, which you can unsubscribe from. It's very, very clean, very nice site as far as, and there's a night mode, day mode, there's search, there's all that, everything you need in there. We cover pinball, we cover Stern a lot, we cover non-Stern, we cover arcade stuff, we do events. I mean, we could be here for hours talking just about all of the things that our group does, but we're game chasers. That's the PlayGamesMore is like, we get a game, like you see I'm in Jaws mode right now behind me here, a Jaws mode, because my son got this beautiful premium machine here 116 days ago. We have almost 4,000 plays on it in that amount of time. So I love to play the games, not just talk about them. And this whole household, everybody's just been loving this game.
Yeah, and I know you've faced some controversy around even talking about Insider Connected on a paid basis. So want to hear your thoughts on that. Have you found people are more on the side of like, keep giving me everything for free, or it's been a couple of years in, like I'm happy to pay for something new?
No, I would say it's 70% plus adamantly or strongly against paying for anything associated with Insider Connect. I'm actually an all access member. I paid the $40 a year thinking I was going to get access to exclusive forum. They advertise that. It does not exist. I've written an article about that. I've messaged Stern about that, and they still haven't taken that out. But yes, they need to get rid of that line that says there's exclusive forum access. If the forums don't exist, that's unacceptable to do that,
Todd,
to take money from people.
What does the $40 give you access to?
Well, Davey, you're going to laugh when I tell you what $40 gets. It gets you the ability to maybe get an LE when it first comes out. You can buy them directly from Stern. Maybe I get a ticket in line to pay $13,000 US. That's all I get. So I paid $40. Not very smart on my part. For that, that's it. That's it. You can get everything else for free. You don't need to do it. That's what my article is about.
I guess as a content creator, it was the other perks that were, more, tempting to you. To get access to exclusive forums or whatever that is. That as a content creator, that must be very enticing for you. But if they don't exist, that's not the best.
I'm guessing their plan was to add maybe some discussions with developers behind the scenes. Maybe Keith Elwin, maybe other people would have some direct, but instead they're going straight out to YouTube and putting videos out and talking to everybody for nothing. So there's really, if you're not going to make anything walled content off, there's really no, apparently when they first started, they were sending out gift packs and you would get stuff when you paid that. I didn't get any of that. When I
did get a really cool challenge coin, which was awesome the first year. Then when the $40 came back up, I was like, hey, you gonna send me another coin or what? Well, we got Erika back. I want to bring Erika on. Erika, can you hear us?
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, there was
awesome.
My mic
awesome.
dropped.
It happens.
All right, Erika with Erika's Pinball Journey. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So Todd told us a little bit about what he's up to, putting out some awesome content. And I found you, I guess maybe 6 months ago, just to like bringing something different to the table as far as Instagram goes. Tell us about your site and kind of how you got into the hobby.
Well, I bought a Lord of the Rings in February of 2022. I had a friend that bought a Jurassic Park Data East. And he's like, Erika, you need to buy a pinball machine. I had started a new job and I wasn't traveling as much, like with COVID and stuff. And I had always really liked pinball, and I bought the machine, and then I went full force into it. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Learning everything, kind of just exposing myself to as much pinball stuff as possible, learning that there were things at shows and people bringing their games, and that there's an app, Pinball Map. I absolutely love Pinball Map. It's always fun when my friends and I go out to eat. And they're like, whoa, Erika, there's pinball machines here. This is a great place. I'm like, oh, yeah, I had no idea there would be pinball machines here. Yeah, so I just kind of, and I have a filmmaking background. I used to work like on movies and TV shows, and now I'm more like in the corporate scene. So as I was going on YouTube looking up videos for pinball, I was like, where's like the stuff I'm thinking of and looking for? I'm like, how do I get into a tournament, or like, how do I know what kind of machine I want to buy? And then I would see videos, and there is some content, but like they're like 6 years old, 8 years old, and then like me, I kind of question that. I'm like, oh, does nobody like need to cover this again, or like what's kind of like, does that scene not change? So I just had a lot of questions, and I just was like, oh, I could film this. Like I could film my journey, because my job being in corporate is not as it's not as glamorous as the fun film stuff that I was doing and working on. So it gives me a chance to have a little bit of a creative outlet as well, which is cool.
And you are the new proud owner of a Weird Al, I heard recently. How's that going so far?
I am. I absolutely love it. The P3 community has been incredibly welcoming. They have a Discord that anyone's welcome to join, and I'm so stoked to have Weird Al. Like I've been playing it. My friend Manu, he's got Mystery Pinball Theater 3000. He is amazing. A big shout out to him. He came over to my house and just like, he has one, and then I really wanted one because he had one, and yeah, I'm just stoked.
Are you guys going to swap modules, Erika? Are you going to swap the modules?
Well, right now we both have Weird Al, and he also has Heist. So once I like play Heist, or once I play Weird Al a bit more, then maybe he's going to get Princess Bride. Maybe I'll look to borrow Heist from him so I can play some Dungeon Door Defender as well, because that game is so fun.
I want to brag on you a little bit. Recently, Stern did a big media tour, brought in a bunch of people, and you were invited, which we're all jealous of. And you had mentioned in the pre-show, you had mentioned there was a bit of a side chat, if not a sidebar, about Insider Connected and some of the stuff coming down the pipe. So when we get to that point in the show, we'd love to hear about, anything you heard about Insider Connected, what's coming. And I think you guys even talked about cost a little bit too. So we'd love to get into that, but welcome to the show.
Thanks. Yeah, no, the Stern tour was really great. I'm still editing that video. I want to make it as good as possible. So it'll come out, I'm hoping before the end of the month. I have to, like, that's my deadline. Nice.
Looking forward to seeing it. So Davey, man, let's get into it. We're going to talk today about the history of the black and white machines, because there's been a lot of them, both done on the side and by the manufacturers as well. And I think you've got some stuff to share with us. So I'll let you take over.
Yeah. So obviously the topic of the show, the sort of the theme of the show is this rumored black and white Godzilla machine that's sort of been bouncing around in the forums for a while, and then I think Rob, you're gonna sort of take us sort of a bit more in detail about sort of what the changes in that story have been sort of more recently, because there has been more chatter around that. But before we sort of get into that, I thought it'd be fun to sort of just do a bit of a retrospective into black and white games, because there's been a couple. And I suppose it all starts back with Centaur, all the way back in 1981. I mean, this is not strictly speaking, a black and white game. It wasn't designed as a black and white game, but it's certainly, you can see the parallels of the design elements that they used here that have sort of carried through all the other black and white versions. We're talking, very monochrome black and white art, but then with color pops here. And that's, I guess, an interesting characteristic that we'll sort of see play out through these games, because sometimes it's used, sometimes it's not, sometimes it is like strictly black and white. But Centaur obviously used very monochrome black and white art. The theme is, let's try and, what is this? We've got a half motorcycle, half orc, S&M themed leather and metal. And I mean, for anybody that's played Centaur, I mean, it's very fond in a lot of people's hearts of this era. It's a Bally game from 1981, single level, very drop target heavy. I think I've not played a lot of Centaur. How about you guys, Erika? Have you ever played Centaur?
Yeah, I played Centaur, and I've even played the new one that Haggis had at the Northwest Pinball Show. And it's kind of fun actually because Centaur was the first game I played in a tournament, like my first tournament, and I won.
Okay. Oh wow, yeah.
And that was really cool. But I was told later I probably won because the guy that would probably would have won, he tilted out. So once you tilt on that game, I guess you lose all your balls. So he like tilted like ball one, and so
and that was it. Yeah.
I was like, I was feeling all good, and someone's like, oh yeah, he would have won, but.
Well, if you win on it in a tournament, then it's always going to have a special place in your heart, isn't it? So and so it's sort of, I mean, Centaur's sort of, I guess, gone through a little bit of a history of its own. So CPR, which is a playfield manufacturer, Classic Playfield Reproductions, produced a number of different playfields for Centaur. The most interesting, I suppose, or controversial was this one, which was a colour reimagination of the playfield. Now, guys, Todd, how do you think this went down in the community?
Yeah, probably not well. Probably not well is my guess.
Yeah, bang on, mate, bang on. It did not go down very well at all, to the point where they're not even selling it anymore.
Davey, it doesn't even look like the colors look wrong. I mean, they look washed out or something. It's not even like when they first colorized black and white, the colors were wrong. Colors don't even.
Well, it looks like if you bought a coloring book and you were just like, hey, I'm going to spend 5 minutes and color this bad
Let me
boy.
get some crayon and go on the color playfield here.
Yeah. So it didn't. Correct, guys. You guessed that one right. It did not go down particularly well. They got a flying for this one.
I mean, I don't mind it.
Was there a price on those playfields? Did you come across that in your research, Davey?
It's the same. I don't think they priced it any more than they did their original reproduction. So I think they sell them for $700 US or something like that. So this one went for that as well. But I don't exactly know what happened to them, but they're certainly not on the site anymore because I checked today.
What's ironic about this is like we're going to be talking later about desaturating things after we made them, and these guys are saturating things. I guess sometimes you got to try stuff out.
Yeah, you do. You got to throw stuff at a wall and see what sticks. Anyway, this did not stick. And then this is Erika alluded to this one earlier. This is the Haggis 2023 version of Centaur. And now you can see it's, I guess, a sort of a cross between the two, isn't it? It's got a lot more color. They used a lot of like colored acrylic plastic protectors underneath all the plastics. They've got a topper on there. They've used colored GI. There's color LEDs in the back box. Now, I don't think, we all know what happened to Haggis. So this was not the game that saved them. Let's put it that way. I thought it was a miss personally. Although I've not played it. It was at TPF, I think, if I recall correctly, but I didn't get a chance to jump on it this time around. But Erika, you said you'd actually played it.
Yeah, I played it. And the thing is, I haven't played the original like in a hot minute. So I couldn't some people can play a pin and be like, oh no, that doesn't feel like original Monster Bash, but I was being kind of new into this. I couldn't tell a difference, but I liked it a lot. I think I lost when I was playing against people, but that was fine because I still had fun. I love drop targets, so this game, definitely.
Oh yeah, drop targets are great. So I've played Fathom Revisited by Haggis, and now the way that Fathom Revisited works is there's two versions of the game that you can play. There's the classic version that reproduces the original as closely as possible. Still in emulation, but as closely as possible. And then there's a version 2. Now, the version 2 I thought was really good, but there was an Australian, I'm an Australian too, but there was an Australian doing the voice work, which I thought just sounded completely wrong. Does anybody know whether this version of Centaur has a version 2 that you can play with like extended rules, ball save, that kind of thing?
Well, not to make bad jokes, but probably doesn't matter considering we're not going to see too many of these.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
I think
Anyway.
Fathom was much better than this. That's what I will say. Is Fathom the Revisited was it had that projector along the bottom when that was, I mean, they had, that was a much better version. Modern
beautiful. Yeah, I got to play that one too.
I just think the topper was a big miss on this one as well. I just thought
it just looks like a bunch of like stuff happening and nothing's happening up there. I don't see the draw of this.
Yeah. Let's move on from to Revisited. Sorry, Agus.
There's a lot of people with deposits on that machine that are probably not too happy to be hearing about it all.
Let's not stay on that for too long. Yeah, that's a very good call there, Rob. Okay, now alongside, so we sort of went through these. So 1981, CPR did that Playfield 2020, Haggis did that 2023, but alongside this, there's been a bit of a sort of a homebrew push for black and white games as well. Now it'd be really interesting to hear in the comments, but I believe this is the first person that did it sort of on a homebrew basis. Somebody who took their Twilight Zone and converted it piece by piece in all the ways that they possibly could into a black and white game. So we're talking the decals on the cabinet, we're talking the playfield itself, all the plastics, the backboard, the sculpts, the backglass, anything that they can possibly do, they will then do. Now, this was 2013 that this first got announced, I believe, or first started getting worked on. I believe this is the first, game that's been done by a punter in this way. But it'd be great to hear whether anybody's got any better information on that subject.
I first saw this one at Expo 23, Great American Games. I don't know, Great American Gaming. I don't know if they're the ones that did this. It looks like it probably is. And I know they've got some plans to do a couple of these. They've been sharing, on their Facebook, acquiring parts and whatnot. But it's. I mean, I've seen it in person myself. Like, it's done as good as it could possibly be done, from what I can tell. There's definitely no shortcuts.
Yeah, you can't really see it from this picture on the left here because the shot isn't great, but how stunning it actually is in person. Now it wasn't there to be played at that show, was it, Rob?
No, he said it had never been played actually, which I assume excludes him testing it out. But a lot of work that went into it, and I think it is worth noting, like, one of the reasons this was done is because it was a black and white show when it originally aired. Like that's I think there's got to be a reason to do this type of thing, which is also what we're seeing with Godzilla. But black and white show, let's make a black and white version. Yeah,
for sure. And this is sort of, I guess, a work in progress shot that you can see on the left here, sort of building it up. And I mean, when you look at it sort of now I personally don't think, and I'll probably get flayed for this in the comments, but for me personally, Twilight Zone, the original, isn't a very attractive game to me. It's a lot of very strong reds and blues, and a bit of a mishmash of sort of stylistic sort of elements, I guess. I know some people absolutely adore it. It's a favorite game and stuff, but for me, it doesn't quite sort of push my buttons, I guess. Whereas I think taking it sort of in a black and white direction completely sort of, changes that look, and I think for the better. So I think that's an absolutely gorgeous example of what we've been talking about. So as far as I know, we were talking about the Addams Family a little bit just in the sort of the warm up to the show. I think a black and white Addams Family popped up on Erika's feed earlier today, so it'd be interesting to see whether these two are the same. Now, I pulled these images from the Pinside thread which was started in 2018. So obviously this the Twilight Zone predates this one. But this is the Black and White Addams Family. Now you can see, I was alluding to it earlier with Centaur, is that some stylistic choices get made when these black and white games get embarked upon. Now you can see with both Twilight Zone and Addams Family, they've made the choice to just like literally make everything monochrome, and that goes, it almost looks like the photo has been completely desaturated. And that comes down to like, all of the inserts are now white. All of the lighting is now sort of cold white LEDs. And both of them made that choice to make it completely 100% black and white. I personally think it looks better with a little bit of color just added here and there, and we'll see that a bit later in some of the other games that have attempted this. But obviously, it's still an absolutely stunning sort of piece of work that somebody's done. And, just the amount of effort involved in, doing something like this must just be absolutely monumental. So again, another beautiful, and like you were saying, Rob, sort of that there needs to be a reason for doing this. And obviously Addams Family was a black and white TV show, wasn't it? So it does make a lot of sense that this one was done in that way as well.
And we did get a fair comment just now from Carrie, like this movie wasn't black and white. So that's, I mean, not that anyone's bringing this game to market black and white, but if you're bringing this to market, like I think you've got to nail, all those specific points. Pretty cool, but not nearly as spot on as Twilight Zone.
I think the Twilight Zone, it's my favorite classic TV show of all time. I mean, Rod Serling is brilliant, and what they did with light and shadow in that program, I don't know that it can be replicated very well on a pinball machine. It's hard to see from these pictures from the lighting, but there's a lot of cool things you could do with darkness in pinball, and that isn't really done a lot of times because people go and buy these lights and light everything up to 100 degrees, and then everything's lit up. But there can be cool things that could be done play wise with corners and shadows and that would be cool with a black and white setup. I can't tell if they're doing that in this or if there was that thought put into it or it was just the art alone. But you need the light. The lighting is critical for the black and white with the shadow. With this,
I was going to say I don't think they have, Todd, because it'd probably just replicate exactly what was in the original code. I mean, I know that people do have the capability to hack ROMs and stuff, but there's particularly from this era of game, there's only a few people around that are that have the knowledge and the capabilities to start hacking assembler and getting in and changing those things. And some people have done it, but I would probably say that hasn't been done in this case. I think probably something that's possibly more doable from a technical perspective for these games is changing the colorization of the DMD. Because obviously, the original Twilight Zone would have been an orange sort of standard plasma DMD. But it looks like they're not using that here. It looks like it's possibly a color DMD that again has been desaturated. So, that's a sort of an interesting aspect as well. It's neither an original orange plasma and it's not a color DMD sort of colorization as well. And I think from a technical perspective, that's probably a lot more doable than sort of getting deep into the assembly ROMs and changing sort of lighting GI and stuff. We're probably getting a little bit nerdy, But anyway, let's move on. So Monsters as well had a black and white version. Now, I was sort of maybe somebody's got a little bit more information than me about Monsters, but as far as I'm aware, the Pro, the Premium, and the LE of Monsters all got released, and they were all coloured, and then an alternate Premium got released that was the black and white version. Does anybody, is that correct? Does anybody know?
I don't know the history of this one as far as the versions. Erika, do you know anything about it?
No, I should have could have studied a little harder, I guess, before this test.
Carrie says, we're gonna
Carrie,
we'll let Carrie fill us in here. Premium release black and white. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of the black and white ones out there. I think the general consensus is like this is the preferred, design.
I think it looks absolutely stunning. This one, and I think this is a really good example of black and white, but then with using sort of spots of color just to sort of jazz
less
things
is
up,
more.
I guess.
Less is more. That green pops. It pops.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a great game.
And I think it looks absolutely beautiful. Now this is actually an interesting one, isn't it? Because we were talking a little bit before the show about if Stern were going to release Godzilla, and we'll get to this later. Where is it going to be positioned? Is it going to be a Super LE? Is it going to be an LE? Is it going to be a premium? And this is an example, I guess, where they've done a premium re-release of the black and white version as a black and white version, and positioned it so that it doesn't piss off.
I think this one was actually like black and white, and then they added a color. But with Elvira, it definitely worked out that way.
Yeah. As in pissed off LE owners, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that looks rad. Yeah, okay. So this is another interesting one too. I almost forgot this before the show, and then it occurred to me that I had forgotten it. So I went and found it. Now this is called Bram Stoker's. This is BSD, so Bram Stoker's Dracula. It's called the Gothic Edition, and it was made in 2020. So this is an Aussie dude. So I pulled these photos from Aussie arcades, and I don't think it's intentional, but I love the fact that all of his pin covers are like red silk or whatever in the background, because it matches the Gothic Edition like perfectly, doesn't it? So yeah.
They're like coffins.
Yeah, totally like coffins. Yeah. So yeah, again, he's used sort of spots of red on this to, I guess, add that contrast with the black and white. I mean, I've seen a couple of really tasty BSDs over the years. People who sort of paint the insides of the cabs black and then use red paint splatters on the inside to make it look like blood and stuff. And look, I think that sometimes people can go too far with that stuff, and sometimes I just think it's like such a cool idea that it just totally gets pulled off. And obviously, it's always going to be a subjective thing whether you think that a refurb should take that poetic license and sort of go in those directions, or whether you think it should stay true to the original game as closely as possible. And everybody's going to have their own opinions on this. But I think particularly with a game like this that really lends itself well to that Gothic overtures, and I know that Pin Sound's got an amazing alternative soundtrack for this that really heightens the atmosphere and the dread. And I think that sometimes, it's just really, I think sometimes people pull it off, really, really well. And, I'm a big fan of this one. I think it looks fantastic. I mean, look at that picture on the right there. It just looks so badass, doesn't it? I just absolutely love it. There we go.
That's great.
Yeah. So he's redone, I guess, all of the sculpts there, repainted all of those, so they're very much more black and white. I know a lot of people sort of repaint these sculpts in the background there, and obviously if you're redoing a BSD, that would be one of the first things you'd look at. Yeah, and then we've got, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, is Elvira Blood Red Kiss. Now I don't think anybody would deny that this was an absolute sort of smash hit, I suppose, in terms of design. Everything except for the shooter rod that is like a plastic sword. that would be the first thing that would come off if I ended up buying this. But everything else, is absolutely gorgeous. And obviously it didn't come without controversy. This got positioned pretty much as a Super LE. And LE owners were very upset with Stern for having done this. I think it was priced sort of around the same mark, or possibly slightly more expensive, and it was just a load nicer. So I can imagine that if you did buy a House of Horrors Elvira LE, and then this came out 6 months or a year later, then you would be pretty upset.
Well, I actually
not
think
only-
this one was actually quite a bit less than the Super LE that came out, which I think contributed to the issue, because it's, probably not even arguably better, and cost, I want to say maybe $5,000 or $6,000 less than the Super LE, which was probably controversial in and of itself too. But yeah, this thing, I mean, they definitely, everything about it, the cabinet art, the choice of color, it really, really pops.
Yeah. I mean, they used that sparkle glitter effect on the decals and on the playfield itself. I think even the playfield plastics sort of had a glittery effect happening. And it just really is stunning to behold, particularly in person. It just, absolutely, I think for me personally, it's like the nicest machine I've ever seen in the flesh. So, I would definitely be in the market for one if it was... What's that, Erika?
I said facts. Like, this machine is beautiful.
Facts.
Like,
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, but what about the shooter? Who's a fan of the shooter knob, guys?
I've held it. It's like the thing you would buy from the carnival. It's pretty bad.
I didn't hold the shooter rod, but I thought from a distance, I thought that looked cool.
Okay.
It does look pretty cool until you touch it. It's like extremely cheap plastic. I think that's probably where a lot of the hate comes from. And it's probably pretty easy to break.
I just don't understand the context of it as well. Like, it's a sparkly dagger, Does I guess Elvira does have a dagger, doesn't she, in her belt?
Yeah,
so she's got a dagger in her belt.
She's got the dagger. Yeah. That's like a part of her outfit. Yeah, okay. You're not gonna put her hair as the shooter rod to, What else is what you're gonna put a high heel shoe? I guess.
Her boobs, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a cracker. But I mean, I think the whole controversy around this is, I think that's really key to this whole story in a way, because, if Godzilla Black and White did come out, then what are they going to do? Stern have said that they're not going to make any more LEs after they build the LEs of the game. So if they were going to go down this path again and release like a special edition, how are they going to position it? Anniversary editions aren't considered LEs, are they? So they can get away with it with, Jurassic Park.
Well, if it's limited, I think the big thing is it limited? I mean, that's what they've committed to not doing again, is putting out another limited of the same machine. Because that's what happened with Jurassic. You had Jurassic LE that was the premium machine, and then you release another limited machine with a limited number of units, and all of a sudden, the people who have something that was supposed to be, well, it's still limited, it's like trumped by a new limited version.
I wonder if they're going to do something like Star Wars, like with the comic book versus the regular Star Wars. That might be a bit of a precedent there because they're going to. I mean, Jaws. It's going to be they're going to have an anniversary for that at some point. That it's going to happen. So I wonder if they're going to do. I wonder if that's their path that they're going to do, like they did with Star Wars, just an alternate. Don't have the plate. Don't have the numbering. Don't give us a piece of John Wick's suit or a shark tooth or whatever they're doing from the thing. Don't do it. Yeah, you're not going to get that little bit of extra. Maybe the powder coating, which we talked about before we began, but maybe that's stripped off. But where is the price come in on this? Is it going to be $1,000 more in between?
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what we do know or we don't know. I mean, this is all my own observations. I don't know if it's all perfectly accurate, but I know in January, Zach Meny on his show Straight Down the Middle, they shared this image. I think they're the ones that created this. This is just a concept shot, but they started to tease this idea of what if they did a black and white, and some of that had to do with the fact that it's the 70th anniversary of Godzilla. So that's when you would want to do something like this to celebrate that. You've got the #1 rated machine on Pinside and probably the best-selling pinball machine in a long time. I don't know how many units, but it's been very successful. Most people that collect pinball machines either have it or are thinking about buying it. And then also the show was originally in black and white. I mean, there was a Godzilla -1 came out in theaters this year, which was an homage to that movie. It was excellent. I think there's a lot of good vibes around, black and white with Godzilla. This one has some of that color tracing in it, which I think everybody that is either thinking about this or somewhat wants to see some color in it. So it's probably not going to be, purely black and white. A couple of months ago, some more rumors around this kind of started bubbling up. And then as of, I guess, maybe a week or two ago, Nap Arcade, which if you guys don't know this website, these guys cover a lot of news in pinball. They basically broke that this is absolutely coming to Comic-Con this month, which is near the end of this month. They credited Don's Pinball podcast on this. I reached out to Don and he was like, I heard it from a third-party source, but they're very confident it's happening. Part of it is tied to Wix sales. So like Wix sales have been, not great allegedly. And the thinking is that, Stern's got to make hundreds, if not many hundreds of machines per week. They're not necessarily making Wix. They've got to start working on something. They're probably not ready for their next game. So there's a lot of rumors around Godzilla black and white, and then also a Metallica remake as well. But what's interesting about this is like, we know they're not coming out with a limited numbered machine. So fortunately, this thing hopefully doesn't cost $13,000. The premium version, which is the one with all the stuff, which is going to probably be based on, is normally around $9,500. So are they going to price it up a little bit if they do come out with it? We're going to assume it's not numbered, but is it going to have powder coating? Is it going to have side blade, shaker, like all the things that we typically expect out of an LE? And then of course, like, is it going to come with new code? Because we did see a little bit of a new code update with Jurassic Park 30th when it came out, which I felt like was part of them kind of like softening the blow for all the owners of the current games. But it also brought people back to the game because you had like an outlane save that wasn't there, that was super brutal, and like a bunch of insider connected achievements as well. So that's what I know. Do you guys kind of know anything else about what we might expect out of this one?
No, there was no hints of it on the Stern tour, so and I'm not going to Comic-Con, Carrie, unfortunately. I used to go a lot, but yeah, I will not be at Comic-Con.
It's the one machine that I would buy is Godzilla, but I wouldn't.
Do you have it today though? Do you have it today?
No.
Yeah, so it's
my favorite game.
It's
my favorite game, even though Jaws is behind me. But it's my favorite game of the Spike 2s. But I would not. I would buy the zombie. The existing premium is the one I would buy over that. What I saw that looks it looks cool, but it just kind of looks dead to me almost compared to the vibrancy of the color of the other one. And they're not going to charge the same price as the existing one. There's no way. I don't want to eat my hat if I say that, but I'm guessing it's going to be $500 or $1,000 more than what.
Let's say that so that was a concept shot. Let's say they take it as far as they did with the Blood Red Kiss. Would that sway you at all, or are you just like
for $500 or $1,000? Yeah, but then it's 13, and then now it's a different situation. I think at that point, because the shaker motor's not worth $4,000. The speaker grill light, what they're adding for the LEs and the plate is not worth. I don't care about again John Wick's suit or whatever they would put in Godzilla from. I don't know what they have, a movie prop from 19 whatever, but I don't know how many people are buying for that. That's probably why John Wick's doing so poorly. One, the code was released not even good, and two, there's not a compelling reason to go out and rush to go get it right now because like James Bond, it's going to get better. it's going to get better. So you might as well wait, see what's going to happen. Is Metallica coming out? Is this Godzilla going to come out? That's what people are going to do. They're going to wait. They're going to wait and see what's.
There's a lot of really big titles in the pipelines too. I mean, not just from Stern. There's rumors, obviously, of the Metallica remake, but Pokemon potentially down the track as well that we've all known about for ages. But then at the same time, Dutch have got rumors of some major titles coming out. Possibly not this year, but early next year, and the market is tricky at the moment. So people are being a lot more conservative, I think, with splashing out the kind of cash that is required on a new in-box game if they think that maybe they're going to not like it, and then they're going to lose 2K on it, just taking it out of the box. So. I think the atmosphere has changed over the last 12 months. And I think you were alluding to that earlier, Rob, that, it's that same atmosphere that's probably dictating a lot of these decisions with these re-releases, both with Metallica and a potential Godzilla Black and White as well.
Yeah.
They've got a big new factory. They've got a lot of staff. They've got, higher rent, even though there's rumors they got a good deal on that new factory, but they need to keep those production lines moving, don't they? So while games like Pokemon or Metallica possibly aren't ready, they need to fill those production lines with something.
Well, I'd love to see them price it the same as the premium. I think that achieves a couple of things. One, it lets all the fence sitters, which there's a ton of them out there, get in on the game, and therefore they're filling their pipeline, which at the end of the day, we want them to be able to do that, right? It's important for them to keep making games if people want them. It also makes it so the LE is still the LE, right? Like you're not creating a situation where you've got an equally priced item that's now going to start eating away at the pricing. And then if somebody wants to lose $1,000 or $2,000 on their premium color to get the black and white, they're feeling better about it because they're not paying $11,000 on a $7,000 sale. They're paying $9,500 on a $7,500 sale, and that's their prerogative if they want to do that. And I think another thing worth mentioning is like the amount of money that people have invested in Godzilla from a mod perspective has got them way more upside down on that machine.
Oh, we've lost you there, Rob. I was just gonna while we wait for Rob's video to sort itself out, I was just gonna pull in Andy's comment here. There's no reason for Stern to care about the secondary market, which is an interesting thing to say. I would argue against that, Andy, because I think they very much need to care about the secondary market, because if the secondary market tanks and everybody starts holding onto their games, then there's no room to put any new inbox games. I mean, these are big machines. We're all running out of space. We've all got small houses and garages, and there's only so much space. And I think space is one of the biggest clinches in the hobby at the moment. So if there's not a strong secondary market, doing its thing and moving through games quickly, then nobody's able to rotate. Plus, if everybody thinks that they're going to drop 2K or a K on a game that they've only bought like 6 months ago on the secondary market, they'll just hang on to it. And that means that people will forego new on-box games as well. So, yeah, I'd argue that I think that historically they haven't cared about the secondary market, but I definitely think they should.
I think the people that are going to be most interested are people like me that are in the market to buy a new box pinball. It's Godzilla. They've played it on location, and then they're just going to decide which one, if it's the premium they want or this model, whatever that's going to be. And I think that's a very, very small percentage of people in that market. Existing owners are going to sell and buy up to this one and get. I don't think that's going to happen. So the other people that would be sold, that would be buying this. And what do you guys?
Got Rob back again.
Rob is back.
Sorry, Rob.
Let me click a bunch of
We were
buttons
just-
until I get this thing organized. There we go. There
So
we go.
just to recap you on the last 5 minutes, Rob, we were just bitching about you.
Dramatic pause. He had the dramatic squirrel pause right there, frozen in time.
Yeah, you're
Serves
making
you
a
right
really
for
good
calling me
point.
Wilson.
You're making a really good point, though, bro. Don't let that dissuade you.
Did we talk about the mods? I just want to make sure everyone knows how upside down we all are on the mods on these things.
Yeah. Well, no, we haven't talked about it yet. So obviously, we haven't talked about that yet, and that's particularly when it comes to Godzilla. One of the biggest problems that a lot of people got with Godzilla is the fact that assholes like me have been filling it with mods and making it so that it's very difficult for say you've got a premium Godzilla, you filled it up with mods, you're 1,000K in the hole for all those mods, and you've been loving it. You love
2,500.
Godzilla, I mean
2,500 in the hole.
And I mean, we've all loved Godzilla. It's been such a wonderful game for pinball, and it really was the peak of I guess the second golden era of pinball, or third golden era, whatever it is. But it was a golden era. There was really what sort of encapsulated that period, and we all filled it with mods, and we all had a great time doing it. But if now the black and white entices you, to the point where you want to trade up your game for the black and white, what do you do with these mods? Do you transfer them over? Are they going to look out of place in the new black and white game? Are mod makers like Rob and myself going to support that? How are we going to support that?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I did see that. I just was checking Pinside. There are 2,627 people that say they have Godzilla in their current collection, and there's about 1,096 people that have it on their wish list. So there is maybe those people that would want to sell theirs, and I feel like when it comes to mods, there are very few people that add value, I think, to when you sell a game. Like Color DMD, I would say, definitely adds value to a game, and maybe expression lights and whatnot, because that is costly. But yeah, that's a hard one to tell, though, if people will switch them over or if they'll keep them and put them in. Maybe it'll be nice to have those splashes of color in the game, depending on how the art is done. But I could see them running it like a premium, because they did make a statement, or I think George or somebody said something where we're not going to do this like LEs anymore. We're going to do this more of like a print kind of thing, where it'll be maybe like a premium Godzilla, and they'll just kind of run it.
Yeah, any other details there? Because I think that's the key thing here, right? It's like it works if they take that approach. I hadn't heard that he had said that directly.
I feel like I read something somewhere where someone had something where they were like, we're going to try to not piss off people like that, or something.
No, you're right. George did say that. Mm-hmm. I didn't hear the interview, but I heard people talking about it. LE buyers in the UK who were very pissed off about the dilution of the LE market. And George assured those people very bluntly that it wasn't going to happen again, because they had felt the blowback from doing that. And, not only did they, just from a business perspective, it didn't make sense for them to do that anymore. So I think if they did do that, it would be an incredibly short-sighted decision, both in terms of the repercussions that the hobbyists, I think it would, they'd be going back on their word, or George would be going back on his word. And I think that those two things combined, particularly in a tricky sort of marketing position for Stern at the moment, considering that John Wick didn't do that great. I feel like maybe Jaws probably underperformed for them too, potentially, although I've got no data to support that. But I get the feeling that, being an Elwyn title, they probably expected it to be an absolute banger, and I think it was successful, but probably not on the scale that they were anticipating.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about code too, because one of the issues with getting a new Godzilla that you're tentatively going to be excited about is the fact that for a lot of owners, and I formulated this opinion myself, and I know a lot of others have too, you have to play the game for a really long time to really get any enjoyment out of it, and that creates a situation where you may be tired of the game, and you want something new out of it. We're 3+ years in on this game. Like, I would love to see a completely different mode that just creates a much shorter game time. One idea I threw out to Davey was like, what if there was like a different mode that you select from the menu, and it's each ball is a bounty. So it's like you're trying to achieve this particular goal. If you don't do it in the ball is over. If you finish the mode, the ball's over. And then you do that 3 times. And maybe that mode changes every time. But I want a 15-minute game that I care about out of this game. I certainly don't want to see it exclusive to the black and white edition, because I don't want to have to buy the black and white edition to have it. So then are they going to give that to me for free? And for me, I'd be happy to pay, I'm scared to say a number because I know the community gets upset when you start talking about big numbers here, but I'd love to pay $50 or $100 for something to make my game feel fresh to me. I'm curious, a little bit of a roundtable here. What do you guys think about paying for major content way past the 1.0? Is that something you're interested in? Todd, start us off, because I know you've covered this closely.
Yeah, well, I was thinking actually, and I didn't put this in my wish list article, but I was thinking that and this is going to sound crazy to some people, but I'm going to say it anyway, because I look, the LCD is a game. It's basically a place where additional stuff could happen. I know some people don't like the video modes, but hey, open that thing up, Stern. Let developers come into that. Let it, like a P3 type of development situation on that LCD with you could have different mini modes. I don't know about letting developers get into the pinball side of it, but letting them at least make mini games or the video mode type stuff that would be separate from the pinball experience. And I think there's a market there. I think there's an interest there, but it's whether or not Todd, they do that, I don't know. But it's
Todd,
something.
Whenever I've raised this with people, because I mean I agree with you, and being a mod maker, I would, we're clamoring to sort of get sort of a close relationship with the manufacturers so that we can sort of get more data out of the game and change things in that way. And that the thing that I've always been told whenever I've raised this with people in the know is that they've said that licensing restrictions basically prevent that kind of access to people, because if the license holders suddenly got wind that the game was changing, or the IP was changing in a certain way, then they'd get in the shit for it. So I would love for us to get into a position of that, but I think that it's going to be a long way to go before that's possible.
Yeah, with just licensing alone, I couldn't see like Jaws or any of these big licenses being like, yeah, make a game, like figure out this would be really cool, which I like that I have a P3, so I just got it, very happy. And it's cool that they have that whole third party, you can make your own games on this system. But also, as coming from like my film background, I understand licensing is really tough in all sorts of ways. You can't show a Coke bottle on screen without like Coke's permission, So like there's all different factors that go into that. But it would be really cool to have, it'd be really cool to let people in and have little extra integrations. But yeah, I could see the licensing would just be like awful. wouldn't work out.
Yeah, we got a comment.
Go on, mate.
Comment from Rocket City about there is some elements of this, right? So you can play the Final Wizard mode in these games. That's a shorter game. For me, I tend to not want to play those because I want to earn them. Although in most games I never have, but maybe I'll change my plan. But getting back to the question, guys, it's like a major new mode, like a mini wizard mode. That's exclusive to a different selection before you start the game, right? Not a new mode in the game, but a new way to play the game. Would you be happy to pay for that?
And we're talking about Godzilla specifically, aren't we?
Let's start. Yeah, Godzilla specifically. Yep.
I mean, I love those extra modes. Stranger Things has like the best one. Like every time I go to a Stranger Things, I always go to the challenge mode on that one because it's just so fun. And I'm not an excellent player. I know that. And it's nice that I can get a chance to play the wizard mode. So yeah, I'd love to see Godzilla have some extra modes. So they did a little bit of that with Jurassic Park, right? With having that co-op thing that released. So I would think that they would have to have something in the works to double press those buttons and have something new.
I thought I saw a statistic that 70% of the buyers are at home. Okay, so if that's true, that it's 70% of, have you guys heard that figure? Because that's the figure that I've seen.
Yeah, hotly
several
debated,
times,
but it may be true. Yeah.
If that's the case, then now you got it in somebody's home. So from a licensing standpoint, one of their issues was when they like to do John Wick was, well, we couldn't have guns on it because, right, kids could come in. Well, this is in the privacy of somebody's home now. So I wonder if that doesn't open up a whole other door licensing wise. It's a technical leak. This is an attorney questions beyond what we're probably able to discuss. But I wonder if there's a door to open there with that, where, hey, if this is for home use, because we can differentiate where this goes. We can set where this content goes. You know, they have the verified.
The key thing is they'd have to write that into the contract from the beginning, I think, to open that up. And maybe they will go there, and some licenses are probably more open to that. I do think that's an interesting point in that, you know, if it's not going to be out in the public market, like maybe that could loosen that restriction.
Yeah, I mean, I want a John Wick mini game where I'm just going nuts in the Mustang and taking the pencil out and going, why? I wanted that. That's what I wanted. But, you know, it's not there. Maybe it's coming.
Yes.
If you gave it to power to the developers and the people, I guarantee you it would be there. It would be there
nuts
quickly.
With a pencil mode.
It would be quickly there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they could do that, but that's something. Maybe Spike 3. Maybe that's part of what they're thinking about. Maybe that's the direction they're going. Who knows?
Yeah. I had a recent interview with Mike talking a little bit about Spike 3. He can't. I mean, obviously they can't say much, and in my video he talks a little bit about it. But yeah, it seems like they would be able to have more features because Insider Connected came later, right? Like Insider Connected had to be installed later into machines. So now with this new one, my thought process is like, okay, Insider Connected's already there. What are they doing with the screen? Like are they gonna change where the speakers are? Is the whole cabinet gonna change? Yeah, there's so much with that. Sorry, I think we went off topic again.
I think it'll be more
home
of an
leaderboards. That's a 50
change.
To your question, Rob. $40. Give us the home leaderboards. Everybody wants it.
Yeah, the home leaderboards would be cool. I mean, I would like to see. One of the things that I thought Insider Connected was when I first got it was like, you guys remember Words with Friends, where you could do the little thing and then Davey, you could play it whenever you wanted, and then it would tell us what the score is. Like, why can't I play a game on Godzilla, and then my friend within 24 hours play a game too, and then whoever did better gets the win? Like, where is the things that make us feel connected? I pay $40 a year already. Like, why am I not getting anything that makes that feel special?
They did the DJ mixer mode on Jaws. It's DJ mixer to mix the Jaws sounds. Let me Bluetooth from my phone and play, you know, AC/DC through here or something else.
I love that.
Why on earth is DJ mixer mode playing the Jaws music stuff? I don't want to hear that. I can already hear that. What is that? I mean, that mode makes no sense. Give us the ability to do something that's been around for 25 years. Come on, let us do that. Put our music through
that's a home run idea. Like, let me play Beastie Boys on my Avengers without hacking.
Oh, no, we've lost it again.
Beastie Boys. It must be the copyright cops. God,
he's hit the Beastie Boys boot code.
Yeah.
As soon as Beastie Boys get mentioned,
I'm talking too loud. That's my problem. Anyway, so all right, I want to do a little bit of it. We're getting up on.
Oh, we've lost your sound again, Rob. Sorry, buddy.
Your mic might have
lost your sound.
I was just going to say Scorebit, though. Like, Scorebit's got a lot of really great stuff going on for that connectivity, and I think that was a loss on. I mean, I don't know what JJP's doing, but I think it's a loss on them that they didn't keep them within there.
100%.
Yeah, well, I know Stern have
Terrible
worked
move.
really hard to stop Scorebet from getting access to their data as well, and it's unfortunate, isn't it? You know, like the Scorebet guys are very clever, very switched on dudes, and you know, I would like to see them, you know, be utilised more by those manufacturers for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Oh,
Yeah. So
wow.
we'll
Thank
see.
God.
Just don't
Just
mention
don't
it.
say Beastie Boys
so-
again, man.
Yeah, Beastie Boys, I did it. No, I love Todd. I love that idea. There's so many like Bond music remixes. If we just get it in, they wouldn't even have to get licensing approval. Just let people use it as a jukebox. So Davey and I have made the mistake possibly of promising our fans a little bit of a teaser of our Godzilla Black and White mods. Davey, did you want to share anything, or you want to say?
Yeah, sure, man. Yeah. I'll just be quick. Now,
Okay,
I'm so sorry, guys, because you know, we showed Zach Many's mock-up of Godzilla earlier, and I was just looking at it and just thinking, oh, geez, man, his Photoshop skills are better than mine. Or maybe he just put in more than 15 minutes work. But anyway, so I've mocked up. Hang on, let me just get my windows correct. So I've mocked up. So these are my Godzilla mods. This is the first one that I came out with,
Nice.
Tokyo Neon. So this is how it looks in black and white. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, so I've left the splashes of color, desaturated everything else. I guess the trick with these ones are going to be, you know, how's Godzilla going to look? Is it going to lean into the blues? Is it going to lean into the greens? You know, it's a big unknown, really. So I think whichever direction that goes in, you'd probably... the problem with my mods is, you know, they're LED based, so they're always going to be, you know, I need them to be colorful in some degree, because otherwise you just, you know, the patterns just don't look right. So there's going to have to be some color coming from my mods, and if Godzilla Black and White is 100% black and white, then probably it's a bust from me and I won't be able to do anything. But I think Rob and I were talking before the show as to exactly what do you change, what do you do, and how do you make that available for people. And I guess we'll get to that in just a little sec, but I'll just quickly take through the other ones. This is the noodle bar that I did for the back right building. This is how it looks in black and white. You see that the main paint colors change, the LEDs remain the same, the acrylic on the right's gone black and white. This is the subway, which goes behind Godzilla in the back left corner, and this is how it looks, desaturated in black and white. I've got to say, they look okay. I wasn't, you know, when I changed them, I wasn't blown away with the look of them. I think probably in the context of the entire game, they probably look a bit different. You know, when everything sort of, you know, is matching in and looking great, and you know, the colors are all matching and stuff, but you know, it is what it is. Now, Rob, do you want to show yours, and then we'll talk a little bit about sort of kind of what we thought in terms of what, you know, what position
So
the custom would
the
be.
highlight is, and the highlight for you is, I think, like sending out replacement parts is going to be a little iffy, right? I mean, it's the one thing that we've talked about is like making sure to be really careful about the level of effort the customer would have to go through to update that. So this is our Godzilla topper, obviously, you know, very colorful. We've actually kind of ahead of time taken some time to mock up actually like physically what this would look like. So here's like a little video of what this would look like in black and white. And then we've done, I think I took one photo that you guys can see here. So just desaturated it at this point. Obviously, if they incorporate color into this, you know, we want to match that. I too don't really feel like sending out replacement plastics is going to be viable, just because it's like literally like taking the entire thing apart and putting it back together. But, you know, I think it's fun to think about as a person who's modded the hell out of Godzilla already. If you are interested in it and you can happen to sell it at a price that works for you and reacquire the black and white, like starting from scratch, you know, like what are the things that you really loved along the way? that you may have kept or got rid of because there was upgrades, and really, making it something that is never going to leave your home because you love Godzilla and you love the black and white. So I think for brand new fans, it's exciting, or brand new owners of the machine, it's exciting. And then if Stern can just put that thing out there without a crazy high price point, like those that want to get in can, and modding.
Yeah, because I was sort of tossing up, particularly with the Tokyo Neon. Not much on that has to change other than the acrylic. So really, all I would have to do is like send out a single acrylic to somebody and go, there you go, and then it works for black and white. So certainly for Tokyo Neon, it might be viable to modify that for the black and white very, very simply. But for things like the noodle bar and stuff, it's literally you would have to take off the whole facade, which is double-sided. It was never built for removal, so it's double-sided tape. There'd be a chance of breakage from the customer. I mean, how do you deal with that from a supplier point of view? And then even besides those points, does somebody really want to have like the old facade just sitting around, after that? This is an expensive piece of, molded, painted resin, but it's essentially useless to them after that point. It just goes in a shoebox and gets put on a shelf. So, it's really a bit sad just to have these parts lying around. And then, if they're then selling their Godzilla, they're not going to sell that facade with their Godzilla. They're selling it with nothing. They're putting the original plastics back in. So, how does that work? It's just a complex sort of set of ideas. I mean, it's almost like the only way you could really do it is by selling a whole brand new piece. But again, from a mod maker's point of view, you feel a bit shit saying that. You go, oh, you have to buy a whole new mod, and that's the only option. But I just can't quite conceptually think of another way to do it at the moment that's not going to lead to wastage and or bad customer experience from the installation point of view, potential breakages and problems with that.
Yep. All right, so we've covered a lot on this show. I still didn't get an answer from you guys if you would pay for this stuff, but maybe you're protecting your social media identity because it's very controversial to acknowledge paying for anything with Insider Connected.
I would pay for Insider Connected more.
I'm already paying. I told you that. I already paid.
Yeah, got my.
I'm already. The question was answered.
Yeah, I'm paying, and I would, depending on what they bring, I got the coin.
But if they let's make it really, we'll make it really succinct. If they brought out new code for Godzilla black and white, but they made original, and you had a Godzilla Prem in your garage, the color one, you're not going to replace it with a black and white version. But they said all those customers who have the original Godzilla can pay $100 and get access to this brand new code that's available for the black and white edition, rather than giving it away for free to those users. I know that would probably piss off a whole heap of existing customers. They don't get access to that code because that's not how they've done it in the past. But would you do it?
I don't own a Godzilla, but I do really like it. It was in my top 5. I think that $100 would be probably the most I'd want to pay to upgrade my Godzilla to have the thing if they change it. But you would also maybe hope that it would be for free since you already spent the money on the machine. Yeah, I guess like $100 would be, I don't know, the most. It'd have to be something really cool for me to want to put like a decent amount of money down, and like Elvira and Jurassic Park didn't have any extra costs to people, so that would feel a little weird. I think only Insider Connected would cost more if they go into like homes leaderboards because of like the servers and stuff like that, like how they host, and it's easier to host for like a bunch of arcades. But if they started hosting in homes, that's like a much larger number of people.
Yeah, I think Andy makes a point here. It's a dangerous precedent, opens up the door for DLC subscription models. Just quickly show
that seems to be the big one. Yeah, thinking about it, to answer your question directly, like if it was like 20% new content, like a lot, right? I would definitely want to pay for it. If it was as much as was changed in Jurassic, I would be upset about paying for anything. One thing that's interesting about how Apple does it with their special game section is you can pay like $20 a month and you get access to hundreds, if not thousands of games. It'd be cool if I could pay maybe a little bit more than $40 a year, but every game that I own, including maybe even when I go to play Wick out on site, I scan in, there's a special mode. So I basically feel like I got this wealth of content for $5-10 a month, hopefully not 20. And I get everything, right? I'm not paying like a la carte, because I think that's the big thing, is like people just don't want to feel like they're getting nickeled and dimed on this. Todd, what are you kind of feeling like? I know you're pro, expanding Insider Connected and probably paying. Like, where is that bar for you?
Well, after I go outside and strangle the landscaper that's mowing right outside the window where I'm trying to do an interview on a show, after
he's cutting my internet, man. He's cutting my internet.
Yeah, he's gonna. After that, look, I just spent over $100 on Steam games in the summer sale. Gamers, I spend thousands of dollars on games, and I've been playing games all my life. So the concept of spending $100 or $50 and getting, my rule of thumb is like an hour, $1 an hour is where. So if it's $100, am I going to get 100 hours worth of entertainment out of whatever's happening? That's what I'm going to analyze and look at. And if I have multiple,
I think the argument is like you're also not buying $7,000, $10,000 Xboxes or $7,000, $10,000 PlayStations. Like that's where. The feedback
I bought just about every console that's come out. The Neo Geo in the 90s was,
but not 10 of them,
$700, and each game was $200 to $400. Each game for the system was $200 to $200, which in today's money is $400 for one game. So, I mean, I'm probably a bad person to ask about that, because yes, I would pay it if it was not like a John Wick situation where the code isn't finished yet. That's a very important. We got to make sure it has to be finished. I'm not paying $7,000 or $30,000 for a machine and then having to pay you a fee to finish it. That's what everybody's afraid of. And I'm right there with them in that. If that's the road we go to, that's bad news. And I hope that's not where it goes. But additional content to 3 years, you said, with the Godzilla, I think 100 might be pushing it. I think the 50 they've already settled upon. The $50 or $40 fee that they have for the Stern Insider All Access, give you access for all the Stern games. You could have leaderboards at home. That's a great price, and I think a lot of people would jump on that. They might not tell you that publicly, or they may not admit that, but I think a lot of them would. Because what is that, $4 a month or something? I mean, I don't think people they go to Starbucks and pay $5-6 for a cup of bad coffee or something. But you're not going to pay that for additional content for a game you spent all these thousands of dollars on and to reinvigorate. So I think it's an easy sale if the price is right and the content for the time value is there. If it's not everything there, then people are just going to be outraged and say no. They're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Davey, any final words on this topic for us?
Well, I was going to say, I think that a subscription model like that is very attractive from a business point of view. From Stern's point of view, it's a known revenue stream. They can predict it coming in every month. And they can build on it, and they can get more people signing up to it. Now, if they've got that consistent revenue coming in, that gives them a level of confidence and security, to continue making games. They don't have to be in these pressure situations where one bad game or two bad games on the trot really puts them in a difficult financial position where they have to do black and white Godzillas or a Metallica, if they had this consistent revenue stream come on, that alleviates a lot of pressure for Stern, and it means they can keep making great games and potentially not having to do price hikes and shit like that. So, but it needs to be there, and it needs to be consistent, and it needs to be growing, and it needs to not piss off your customer base as well. So if they can achieve all of those things, then I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, reaching the monthly fee or the yearly fee to have value is a pretty high bar, but I feel like they've got to do that. I hope they don't go this a la carte route. It's going to get, we already have the pricing feels out of whack. I think if they start charging and they charge too much, and then, you're not getting what you expected. Just like start making that what we're paying for worth it, and maybe increase it from there. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. I'm excited about what's going to happen with this Godzilla Black and White, just because I'm a big fan of the game and I'd love to play it if nothing else. So, guys, thank you so much for contributing to the story. Would love to have you back on sometime as well.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thanks for
guys.
having me.
Thanks,
Awesome.
guys.
Well, guys, we're gonna get back on our 2-week schedule here. I think, Davey, do we got some stuff lined up? We'll figure it out.
Yeah,
so
we'll work it
probably
out.
be here in a couple weeks. Yeah, we'll work it out. We've enjoyed having you guys. Definitely make sure to subscribe to the channel so you get notifications. We're also sending out emails and stuff. And also be sure to check out Erika and Todd's stuff, PlayGamesMore.com. And Erika's Pinball Journey on Instagram. I know Erika's got a really cool Stern video coming out soon. I'm going to put some pressure on you to get that.
Yeah, that is coming out. It's I'm also on
guys,
YouTube, so not just
Awesome. YouTube as well. All right. Signing off, everybody. We will see you soon.